Lobby. Let's go over here. Next. Alright, so we are good. Wow. Keep messing with my stuff. Jeez. Hold on, y'all. I swear for Bob. Hold on, let me go get my pen. Out of all the other pens they could grab, why they go always to my stuff? Be grabbing my pen. 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Sheesh. Y'all know how y'all sit stuff somewhere and expect it to be sitting in that same place when you come back to it. Don't ever expect that when you got little people running around here and teenagers that always lose their pens. Sheesh. I stick it inside of my stuff. What they do, they go through my stuff. Mama always got pens. And they found my stuff. Sorry, boy, Hallelujah. Peace and blessings. Shalom, YouTube. Okay. Happy Sunday. I swear. I don't know why my son has an alarm clock and he don't listen to it. Don't wake up to cut it off. Every morning. I know y'all can hear it in the background. Can y'all hear it? It's a faint beeping in the background. Can y'all hear it? Some days it seems louder than others. But I guess it ain't bothering nobody. Nobody said anything. Y'all probably didn't even recognize it until I said something about it. Okay, y'all. Happy Sunday. It is April the 25th, 2021, day 137 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 806. Remember, that is right, the Sabbath days, or the feast day Sabbath days, added into the count because we rest on those days. Today we're going to be reading 2 Kings 18, 19, and 20. Then we'll hop over to the legends of the Jews. Okay, so let's do this really quick. Okay. Hop over to the legends of the Jews. I can get them with the reader. I'm going to pull up the Shema. Alright, y'all. Everybody know where the Shema is at by now, right? Deuteronomy chapter 6. Remember? Always read the entire chapter. Just pull out the meat of everything, right? Listen up, people. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuah, our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuah our God, as He has commanded us. Alicia, shalom, greetings, Uncle Nathaniel. Okay, cool. All right, y'all. So let's hop on over here to the reading for today. 2 Kings, chapter 18. Alright, y'all. 2 Kings 18. Hezekiah rules in Judah. Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, began to rule over Judah in the 3rd year of King Hosea's reign in Israel. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother was Abijah, the daughter of Zechariah. He did what was pleasing in Yahuah's sight, just as his ancestor David had done. He removed the pagan shrines, smashed the sacred pillars, and cut down the Asherah poles. He broke up the bronze serpent that Moses made because the people of Israel had been offering sacrifices to it. The bronze serpent was called Nehushtan. Hezekiah trusted in Yahuah, the God of Israel. There was no one like him among all the kings of Judah, either before or after his time. He remained faithful to Yahuah in everything, and he carefully obeyed all the commands Yahuah had given Moses. So Yahuah was with him, and Hezekiah was successful in everything he did. He revolted against the king of Assyria and refused to pay him tribute. He also conquered the Philistines as far distant as Gaza and its territory, from their smallest outpost to their largest walled city. During the 4th year of Hezekiah's reign, which was the 7th year of King Hosea's reign in Israel, King Shalmaneser of Assyria attacked the city of Samaria and began a siege against it. 3 years later, during the 6th year of King Hezekiah's reign and the 9th year of King Hosea's reign in Israel, Samaria fell. At that time, the king of Assyria exiled the Israelites to Assyria and placed them in colonies in Halah along the banks of the Habor River in Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. For they refused to listen to Yahuah their God and obey him. Instead, they violated his covenant and all the laws that Moses, Yahuah's servant, had commanded them to obey. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, King Sennacherib of Assyria came to attack the fortified towns of Judah and conquered them. King Hezekiah sent this message to the king of Assyria at Lachish: I have done wrong. I will pay whatever tribute money you demand if you will only withdraw. The king of Assyria then demanded a settlement of more than 11 tons of silver and 1 ton of gold. To gather this amount, King Hezekiah used all the silver stored in the temple of Yahuah and in the palace treasury. Hezekiah even stripped the gold from the doors of Yahuah's temple and from the doorposts he had overlaid with gold, and he gave it all to the Assyrian king. Nevertheless, the king of Assyria sent his commander-in-chief, his field commander, and his chief of staff from Lachish with a huge army to confront King Hezekiah in Jerusalem. The Assyrians took up a position beside the aqueduct that feeds the water into the upper pool near the road leading to the field where cloth is washed. They summoned King Hezekiah, but the king sent these officials to meet with them: Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator; Shebna, the court secretary; and Joah, son of Asaph, the royal historian. Then the Assyrian king's chief of staff told them to give this message to Hezekiah. This is what the great king of Assyria says: What are you trusting in that makes you so confident? Do you think that mere words can substitute for military skill and strength? Who are you counting on that you have rebelled against me? On Egypt? If you lean on Egypt, it will be like a reed that splinters beneath your weight and pierces your hand. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is completely unreliable. But perhaps you will say to me, we are trusting in Yahuah our God, but isn't he the one who was insulted by Hezekiah? Didn't Hezekiah tear down his shrines and altars and make everyone in Judah and Jerusalem only worship at the altar here in Jerusalem? I'll tell you what. Strike a bargain with my master. Strike a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can find that many men to ride on them. With your tiny army, how can you think of challenging even the weakest contingent of my master's troops, even with the help of Egypt's chariots and charioteers? What's more, do you think we have invaded your land without Yahuwah's direction? Yahuwah himself told us, attack this land and destroy it. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, Shebna, and Joah said to the Assyrian chief of staff, please speak to us in Aramaic, for we understand it well. Don't speak in Hebrew, for the people on the wall will hear. But Sennacherib's chief of staff replied, do you think that my master sent this message only to you and your master? He wants all the people to hear it. For when we put this city under siege, they will suffer along with you. They will be so hungry and thirsty that they will eat their own dung and drink their own urine. Then the chief of staff stood and shouted in Hebrew to the people on the wall, listen to this message from the great king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Don't let Hezekiah deceive you. He will never be able to rescue you from my power. Don't let him fool you into trusting Yahuwah by saying, Yahuwah will surely rescue us. This city will never fall into the hands of the Assyrian king. Don't listen to Hezekiah. These are the terms the king of Assyria is offering. Make peace with me and open the gates and come out. Then each of you can continue eating from your own grapevine and fig tree and drinking from your own well. Then I will arrange to take you to another land like this one, a land of grain and new wine, bread and vineyards, olive groves and honey. Choose life instead of death. Don't listen to Hezekiah when he tries to mislead you by saying, Yahuwah will rescue us. Have the gods of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? What happened to the gods of Hamath and Arpad? And what about the gods of Seraphim, Hena, and Eva? Did any god rescue Samaria from my power? What god of any nation has ever been able to save its people from my power? So what makes you think that Yahuwah can rescue Jerusalem from me? Oh, he talking big jump, ain't he? But the people were silent and did not utter a word because Hezekiah had commanded them, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and Jonah, the son of Asaph, the royal historian, went back to Hezekiah. They tore their clothes in despair, and they went in to see the king and told him what the Assyrian chief of staff had said. I know they were shaking, but they was like, we going to trust in y'all or we going to die? He out here talking all this stuff, king. Look, what we supposed to do? He said, don't say nothing. Because sometimes people draw you into fights, and next thing you know, you fighting when you should have just kept quiet, right? We should all remember that. 2 Kings chapter 19, especially when we're trusting in Yah. A lot of time we try to jump in, try to defend. Oh, you said what? Well, we know that. Just follow the rule of King Hezekiah. Keep quiet. We trusting in Yah, right? Hezekiah seeks Yahuwah's help. When King Hezekiah heard their report, he tore his clothes and put on burlap and went into the temple of Yahuwah. And he sent Eliakim, the palace administrator, Shebna, the court secretary, and the leading priests, all dressed in burlap, to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos. They told him, this is what King Hezekiah says. Today is a day of trouble, insults, and disgrace. It is like when a child is ready to be born, but the mother has no strength to deliver the baby. But perhaps Yahuwah your God has heard the Assyrian chief of staff, sent by the king to defy the living God, and will punish him for his words. Oh, pray for those of us who are left. After King Hezekiah's officials delivered the king's message to Isaiah, the prophet replied, say to your master, this is what Yahuwah says. Do not be disturbed by this blasphemous speech against me from the Assyrian king's messengers. Listen, I myself will move against him, and the king will receive a message that he is needed at home, so he will return to his land, where I will have him killed with a sword. Meanwhile, the Assyrian chief of staff left Jerusalem and went to consult the king of Assyria, who had left Lachish and was attacking Libnah. Soon afterward, King Sennacherib received word that King Tirhakah from Ethiopia was leading an army to fight against him. Before leaving to meet the attack, he sent messengers back to Hezekiah in Jerusalem with this message. This message is for King Hezekiah of Judah. Don't let your God, in whom you trust, deceive you with promises that Jerusalem will not be captured by the king of Assyria. You know perfectly well what the king of Assyria has done wherever they have gone. They have completely destroyed everyone who stood in their way. Why should you be any different? Have the gods of other nations rescued them? Such nations as Gozan, Haran, Rezeph, and the people of Eden who were in Telassar? My predecessors destroyed them all. What happened to the king of Hamath and the king of Arpad? What happened to the king of Zarephaim, Henah, and Eva? After Hezekiah received the letter from the messengers and read it, he went up to Yahuwah's temple and spread it out before Yahuwah. And Hezekiah prayed this prayer before Yahuwah. O Lord God of Israel, you are enthroned between the mighty cherubim. You alone are God of all the kingdoms of the earth. You alone created the heavens and the earth. Bend down, O Yah, and listen. Open your eyes, O Yah, and see. Listen to Sennacherib's words of defiance against the living God. Is it true, Yah, that the kings of Assyria have destroyed all these nations, and they have thrown the gods of these nations into fire and burned them? But of course the Assyrians could destroy them. They were not gods at all, only gods of wood and stone shaped by human hands. Now, O Yah, our God, rescue us from his power. Then all the kingdoms of the earth will know that you alone, O Yah, are God. Then Isaiah, the son of Amos, sent this message to Hezekiah. This is what Yahuwah, the God of Israel, says. I have heard your prayer about King Sennacherib of Assyria, and Yahuwah has spoken this word against him. O virgin daughter of Zion, the virgin daughter of Zion despises you and laughs at you. The daughter of Jerusalem shakes her head in derision as you flee. Whom have you been defying and ridiculing? Against who did you raise your voice? At whom did you look at with such haughty eyes? It was the Holy One of Israel. By your messengers you have defied Yahuwah. You have said, with my many chariots I have conquered the highest mountains. Yes, the remotest peaks of Lebanon. I have cut down its tallest cedars and its finest cypress trees. I have reached its farthest corners and explored its deepest forests. I have dug wells in many foreign lands and refreshed myself with their water. With the sole of my foot I stopped up all the rivers of Egypt. But have you not heard? I decided this long ago. Long ago I planned it, and now I am making it happen. I planned for you to crush fortified cities into heaps of rubble. That is why their people have so little power and are frightened and confused. They are as weak as grass, as easily trampled as tender green shoots. They are like grass sprouting on a housetop, scorched before it can grow lush and tall. But I know you well, where you stay, and when you come and go. I know the way you have raged against me, and because of your raging against me and your arrogance, which I have heard for myself, I will put my hook in your nose and my bit in your mouth. I will make you return by the same road on which you came. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, here is the proof of what I say is true. This year, matter of fact, here's another time marker. Salama, Alicia, Salama, Belinda Brown, Shalom, Demi, Shalom, Shalom. Listen to this time marker, y'all. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, here is proof that what I say is true. This year, you will eat only what grows up by itself. Next year, you will eat what springs up from that. But in the third year, you will plant crops and harvest them. You will tend vineyards and eat their fruit. And you who are left in Judah, who have escaped the ravages of the siege, will put roots down in your own soil and will grow up and flourish. A remnant of my people will spread out from Jerusalem, a group of survivors from Mount Zion. The passionate commitment of Yahuwah of heaven's armies will make this happen. So it's a 3-year time marker. And every year he said, this is what you can see in the first year. This is what you're going to see in the second year. And this is what you're going to see in the third year, right? He's talking about from the time that he's speaking in a year from now, right? Yahuah always gives very specific time markers. And the time where you can see. Anybody that gives an open-ended prophecy saying soon or anything like that, you might want to hold up for a second and just kind of go check into that, right? And see what that's all about. Just make sure it's not a lie entangling you further in the bigger web of lies, right? Okay. And this is what Yahuah says about the king of Assyria. His armies will not enter Jerusalem. They will not even shoot an arrow at it. They will not march outside its gates with their shields, nor build banks of earth against its walls. The king will return to his own country by the same road on which he came. He will not enter this city, says Yahuah. For my own honor and for the sake of my servant David, I will defend this city and protect it. That night, the angel of Yahuah went out to the Assyrian camp and killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. When the surviving Assyrians woke up the next morning, they found corpses everywhere. Then King Sennacherib of Assyria broke camp and returned to his own land. He went home to his capital of Nineveh and stayed there. One day, while he was worshiping in the temple of his god Nisroch, his sons Adremelech and Sharezer killed him with their swords. They escaped to the land of Ararat, and another son, Esarhaddon, became the next king of Assyria. All right, y'all, last chapter for the day. 2 Kings chapter 20. Hezekiah's sickness and recovery. About that time, Hezekiah became deathly ill, and the prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz, went to visit him. He gave the king this message. This is what Yahuah says. Set your affairs in order, for you are going to die. You will not recover from this illness. When Hezekiah heard this, he turned his face to the wall and prayed to Yahuah. Remember, O Yah, how I have always been faithful to you and have served you single-mindedly, always doing what pleases you. Then he broke down and wept bitterly. But before Isaiah had left the middle of the courtyard, this message came to him from Yahuah. Go back to Hezekiah, the leader of my people. Tell him, this is what Yahuah, the God of your ancestor David, says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you. In 3 days from now, you will get out of bed and go to the temple of Yahuah, another time marker. In 3 days' time, right? Not 3 days come and go and he's still waiting for this promise to happen. Yahuah always gives very specific times, right? This is what Yahuah, the God of your ancestor David, says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you. In 3 days from now, you will get out of bed and go to the temple of Yahuah. I will add 15 years to your life, and I will rescue you and this city from the king of Assyria. I will defend this city for my own honor and for the sake of my servant David. Then Isaiah said, make an ointment from figs. So Hezekiah's servant spread the ointment over the boil, and Hezekiah recovered. Meanwhile, Hezekiah said to Isaiah, what sign will Yahuah give to prove that he will heal me and that I will go to the temple of Yahuah 3 days from now? Isaiah replied, this is a sign from Yahuah to prove that he will do as he promised. Would you like the shadow on the sundial to go forward 10 steps or backward 10 steps? The shadow always moves forward, Hezekiah replied, so that would be easy. Make it go 10 steps backward instead. So Isaiah the prophet asked Yahuah to do this, and he caused the shadow to move 10 steps backward on the sundial of Ahaz. Now when we got to this part in the Legends of the Jews, it gives a little bit more detail about this. Not a whole lot more, but a little bit more than what they give in here. It just expounded on it a little bit more. But I forget exactly, but I remember this part somewhat, but I don't want to give you a chopped and screwed story. So I got to go back and look at it myself. But what I will do, I will make myself a note. Sundial. And now I'll get that portion and now pin it for y'all so y'all can read it too since I brought it up. Yeah. That way y'all can read it if y'all don't remember and if you weren't here to see it when we did read it. Okay. So Isaiah the prophet asked Yahuah to do this, and he caused the shadow to move 10 steps backward on the sundial of Ahaz. Soon after this, Merodach Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah his best wishes and a gift, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been very sick. Hezekiah received the Babylonian envoys and showed them everything in his treasure houses, the silver, the gold, the spices, the Aramaic oils. He also took them to see his armory and showed them everything in his royal treasuries. There was nothing in his palace or his kingdom that Hezekiah did not show them. And it expounded. Matter of fact, all of this will be by the sundial, and you will see a little bit more. And they definitely expounded on this a little bit more, right? Then Isaiah the prophet went to King Hezekiah and asked him, "What did those men want? Where were they from?" Hezekiah replied, "They came from the distant land of Babylon." "What did they see in your palace?" Isaiah asked. "They saw everything." Hezekiah replied, "I showed them everything I own, all my royal treasuries." Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Listen to this message from Yahuah. The time is coming when everything in your palace, all the treasures stored up by your ancestors until now, will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says Yahuah. Some of your very own sons will be taken away into exile. They will become eunuchs who will serve the palace of the who will serve in the palace of Babylon's king." Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, "This message you have given me from Yahuah is good." For the king was thinking, at least there will be peace and security during my lifetime. How selfish is that? Remember how I be talking about, you know what, they ain't really care about us. Oh, well, let this fall on our children's children and the generations to come, and let us be okay in our time. Like, y'all are so selfish. Y'all just thinking about y'allself. Let the curses fall on your children's children, right? Look, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. What happens is we still suffer from the curses of our parents because through time, as the generations pass, they caused us, like our enemies, the enemies of Yahuah and his people, know a lot of stuff about why Yahuah stands and fights for his people, right? They know that his people must keep themselves free from sin, from doing certain types of things, right? Eating certain types of food, all this stuff. They know that about us, so they constantly flood our minds. They entertain us with all this stuff that will cause us to constantly break those commands that Yahuah has given to his people, thereby continuing to pass on the ignorance, right? They make you afraid to do certain things. They put scary names on it. Don't do this, we'll kill you if we find out this. Matter of fact, don't even teach them their own tongue anymore. So thereby almost making it impossible to pass down what Yahuah has given to his people. So through the process of time, the parents stopped teaching the children, and most of the time it was out of fear for their own lives, right? A lot of us don't even know our native tongue. Why? Because if we got speaking our native tongue, they would kill us, right? So although some of them knew, through the process of time, by not passing down the information, the generations become more ignorant, right? And now we ignorantly are doing things that we didn't know we shouldn't be doing, thereby keeping us in this vicious cycle in captivity longer, right? This is crazy. This is crazy, right? Listen. Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, "This message you have given me from Yahuah is good." For the king was thinking, at least there will be peace and security during my lifetime, right? Well, what about your posterity? What about us, right? What about us? The rest of the events in Hezekiah's reign, including the extent of his power and how he built a pool and dug a tunnel to bring water into the city, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. Hezekiah died, and his son Manasseh became the next king. All right, y'all. So that's the reading for today over here in 2 Kings. We'll pick this back up tomorrow, but let's hop on over here to the legends of the Jews. But blessed be the Most Holy. After time period passed away, he now begins to speak to his people again, right? Directly. Okay, so let's hop on over here to the legends of the Jews. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday on page 500, people. Okay. Remember, we're still talking about Esther. We ain't got that much more, y'all. I say, well, let me not give days. I say still in about a week's time we should be done. Because I'm not sure how long the next few days are going to be while reading through the scriptures. And I'm not sure how many sections I'll get to read. But this is probably maybe less than a week's time left, right? Okay. And then we hop over to reading Fossilized Customs. All right. His resolve to ruin the Hebrews. Sorry, hold on. His resolve to ruin the Hebrews taken, Haman appeared before Ahasuerus with his accusation against them. There is a certain people, he said, the Hebrews, scattered abroad and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of the kingdom. They are proud and presumptuous. In Tibet, in the depth of winter, they bathe in warm water, and they sit in cold water in summer. Their religion is diverse from the religion of every other people. And their laws... Sorry, hold on. I gotta get a sip of water already. This is crap. Okay. Y'all see my nails. I still ain't took the nail polish off. I tried to. Bella saw me. Mom, you took it off. I was like, well, Tootie, can we paint it over a little bit better? But she couldn't find a nail polish. So I'm waiting for her to find a nail polish before I take this off and let her do it fresh for me. Yeah, I tried to pull it off and she caught me. It wasn't even 5 minutes when I started. Let me take this off my nails. And she caught me. Like she has like this inner sense of knowing nail polish just dropped to the floor. Okay, she came running. Let me see your hands. I'm just like it really shocked me. She said, Mom, let me see your hands. It really blew me away, y'all. After I pulled this nail polish off this one pinky nail, she come running into my room. Let me see your hands. I'm like I'm still baffled about this. So I'm like, let me leave this nail polish on my nails for this little girl. Okay. His resolve, I just start over. His resolve to ruin the Hebrews taken. Haman appeared before Ahasuerus with his accusation against them. There is a certain people, he said, the Hebrews, scattered abroad and dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of the kingdom. They are proud and presumptuous. In Tibet, in the depth of winter, they bathe in warm water, and they sit in cold water in the summer. Their religion is diverse from the religion of every other people, and their laws from the laws of every other land. To our laws, they pay no heed. Our religion finds no favor with them, and the decrees of the king they do not execute. When their eye falls upon us, they spit out before us, and they consider us as unclean vessels. Oh, well, I guess I do the same for these people, because I'm like, every time I hear the name JC, I want to spit on the ground. Look, I didn't even pay attention to this, but I'm going to read this again. Look. When their eye falls upon us, they spit out before us. They consider us as unclean vessels. When we levy them for the king's service, they either jump up on the wall and hide within the chambers, or they break through the walls and escape. If we hasten to arrest them, they turn upon us, glare at us with their eyes, grind their teeth, stamp their feet, and so intimidate us that we cannot hold them fast. Yeah, that sound like us. They do not give us their daughters unto wives, nor do they take our daughters unto wives. If one of them has to do the king's service, he idles all the day long. If they want to buy aught of us, they say, this is a day for doing business. But if we want to buy aught of them, they say, we may do no business today, and thus we can buy nothing from them on their market days. Their time they pass in this wise. The first hour of the day, they say, they need the first hour of the day they say they need for reciting the Shema, the second for praying, the third for eating, the fourth for saying grace, and give thanks to Yahuah for the food and drink he has granted them. The fifth hour they devote to their business affairs. In the sixth they already feel the need to rest. In the seventh their wives call for them, saying, come home, ye weary ones who are so exhausted by the king's service. The seventh day they celebrate as their Sabbath. They go to the synagogues on that day, read out of their books, translate pieces from their prophets, curse our king, and execrate our government, saying, This is the day whereon the great God rested, so he may grant us rest from the heathen. The women polluted the waters with their ritual baths, which they take after 7 days of their defilement. On the 8th day, after the birth of their sons, they circumcised them mercilessly, saying, "This shall distinguish us from all other nations." At the end of 30 days, and sometimes 29, they celebrate the beginning of the month. In the month of Nisan, they observe 8 days of Passover, beginning the celebration by kindling a fire of brushwood to burn up the leaven. They put all the leaven in their homes out of sight before they use the unleavened bread, saying, "This is the day whereon our fathers were redeemed from Egypt." And see how much the enemy knows about us and our customs? Look. This is the day whereon our fathers were redeemed from Egypt. Such is the festival they call Pesach, or Passover, Pesach. They go to their synagogues, read out of their books, and translate from the writings of the prophets, saying, "As the leaven has been removed out of our houses, so may this wicked dominion be removed from over us." Again, in Siwan they celebrate 2 days, which they go on to their synagogues, recite the Shema, and offer up prayers, read out of the Torah, and translate from the books of their prophets, curse our king, execrate our government. This is the holiday which they call Aratzah, the closing festival, or booths, tents, tabernacles, Sukkot, right? Festival of the end gathering, right? The end of the harvest festival. They ascend to the roofs of their synagogues and throw down apples, which are picked up by those below, with the words, "As these apples are gathered up, so may we be gathered together from our dispersion among the heathen." They say they observe this festival because on these days the Torah was revealed to their ancestors on Mount Sinai. On the 1st of Tishri, they celebrate the new year again. They go up to their synagogues, read out of their books, translate the pieces of writings of their prophets, curse our king, execrate our government, and blow the trumpet, saying, "On this day of memorial may we be remembered unto good, and our enemies unto evil." I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. Nope, I was wrong. That wasn't Sukkot, what I just said up here. The holiday they call Aratzah. I realized they go in order. They call it the closing festival, but it's not the closing festival. I just think about it as I'm reading, thinking about this. They're talking about the first fruits harvest, right? You got Passover, you got unleavened bread, then you have first fruits, then it goes into the fall feast. Okay. On the 9th day of the same month, they slaughter cattle, geese, and poultry. They eat and drink and indulge in dainties, they and their wives, their sons and their daughters. By the 10th of the same month, they call the great fast, and all of them fast, together with their wives, their sons, and their daughters. Yea, they even torture their little children without mercy, forcing them to abstain from food. So this is, they make it sound so horrible, right? Look, this is the Day of Atonement. Remember we talked about the Day of Atonement? The Day of Atonement is actually straddled between 2 days, right? So, meaning you still eat on the 9th and the 10th day. This is what it says, right? At least in my understanding. So, children can actually do this, right? So, Yahuah said, begin the Day of Atonement, which is a complete day for a fast. But he said, begin the Day of Atonement on the 9th day, right? He said the Day of Atonement is on the 10th day of the 7th month. He said, but begin the fast on the 9th day after sundown, right? So you can eat on the 9th day all the way up until sundown, but at sundown, stop eating, right? And after that, you can pretty much go to bed. So you may stay up for a little longer, adults, but children may go right to bed. But you go to bed with a full stomach, right? So you go to bed with a full stomach, begin at sundown. Into the next day, 10th day, he said you can eat again after sundown. Think about it. At least I know. My children get up a lot of times. If you keep them occupied, they won't even think about that they're hungry. They can drink water or tea or something to drink or whatever. But a lot of times, if you keep them busy, okay, let's go out or whatever, they may not even realize their hunger if they get so busy. They won't even think about food until they're sitting around not doing anything, right? So children can keep it, although I wouldn't force it on children to do it. If they just can't hold out any longer, okay, go ahead and get some fruit or something like that. But I think that's something you can train children in, right? And so that's one day a year, right? You can train them. Like, you can make your habits. You can build habits throughout the course of your days, throughout the year, where by the time you get here, that'll be nothing. Like you really can train your body in this way to where you just flow naturally into doing these things anyway, right? Okay. But the 10th day of the same month, they call the Great Fast, which is the Day of Atonement. And all of them fast, they together with their wives, their sons, and their daughters. Yea, they even torture their little children without mercy, forcing them to abstain from food. They say, on this day our sins are pardoned and are added to the sum of the sins committed by our enemies. They go to their synagogues, read from their books, translate from the writings of their prophets, curse our king, and execrate our government, saying, may this empire be wiped off from the face of the earth, like unto our sins. They supplicate and pray that the king may die and his rule be made to cease. On the 15th of the same month, they celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. Here it is right here. The booths, tents, Sukkot, tabernacles. On the 15th of the same month, they celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. They cover the roofs of their houses with foliage. They resort to our parks where they cut down palm branches for their festival wreaths, pluck fruit out of the entrog, and cause havoc among the willows of the brook by breaking down the hedges in their quest after Hoshanot. I think that's how you say that. Saying, as does the king in the triumphal procession, so do we. Then they repair to their synagogues to pray, read out of their books, and make circuits with their Hashemnots, all while jumping and skipping like goats. You see how horrible it sounds when you let somebody else tell your story? And people like, what? They do what? Oh, no. Look, we can't let anybody else tell our story ever again because they make it sound so horrible, right? Look, and everybody, stay away from them. I don't know what they got going on over there. Like, what did they tell you we were doing, right? Look. As does the king in his triumphal procession, so do we. Then they repair to their synagogues and pray, read out of their books, and make circuits to their Hashemnots, all while jumping and skipping like goats, so that there is no telling whether they will curse or bless us. This is Sukkot, as they call it. And while it lasts, they do none of the king's service, for they maintain all work is forbidden them on these days. See, now they telling it wrong because Yahuah said just the first and the last day. They said, look, the whole week. Now, I have seen people, they take the whole week off, right? And hey, it is what it is. But we want to make sure we keep it at least, as Yahuah said, first and the last day, no work day. Then, you can work in between these days. But first and the last day, Okay. In this way, they waste the whole year with tomfoolery and fiddle-faddle. In this way, they waste the whole year with tomfoolery and fiddle-faddle only in order to avoid doing the king's service. At the expiration of every period of 50 years, they have a jubilee year, and every 7th year is a year of release, during which the land lies fallow, for they neither sow nor reap therein. And they sell us neither fruits nor other products of the field, so that those of us who live among them die of hunger. At the end of every period of 12 months, they observe the new year. At the end of every 30 days, the new moon, and every 7th day is the Sabbath, the day on which they say, Yahuah, the God of the world, rested. After Haman had finished his arraignment of the Hebrews, Yahuah said, thou didst well enumerate the holidays of the Hebrews, yet thou did omit that 2 Purim and Shushan Purim, which the Hebrews will celebrate to commemorate thy fall. He said, oh, you listed all of them, but you forgot to, right? They're going to celebrate this and they're going to celebrate this too, to commemorate your demise, right? Your fall. Boom. Clever though Haman's charge was, the vindication of the Hebrews was no whit less clever. They found a defender in the archangel Michael. While Haman was delivering his indictment, he spoke thus to Yahuwah, O Lord of the world, thou knowest well that the Hebrews are not accused of idolatry, nor of immoral conduct, nor of shedding blood. They are accused of only observing thy Torah. Yahuwah pacified him. Like all the other stuff our people was doing. Shalom, Mom. Haman could have brought out some of all this other stuff. Because remember, they were still doing, like he said, a bunch of tomfoolery. But he decided to list the commands of Yah as them trying to spread it out. Look, they waste all this time, don't do nothing all year. They prepare for the next feast, and they don't do nothing that the king asked them to do. And every time when they come in during the day, they say they got to recite the Shema first. Then they need to pray. Then they need to do this. Then they need to eat. Then they need to do that. And then the wives call them home, say, come home from the king's rest. You who are weary from working all day. He said they waste every bit of time not doing what we want them to do. Which is probably how, look, I'm starting to think, because, they tend to call Yahuwah's people lazy. They good for nothing, lazy, don't want to do nothing, got good work ethic or nothing. Yet we built the lands of everywhere we have been, right? Let me not get started on this. Look. Let me go back. For they found a defender in the archangel Michael. While Haman was delivering his indictment, he spoke thus to Yahuwah, O Lord of the world, thou knowest well that the Hebrews are not accused of idolatry, nor of immoral conduct, nor of shedding blood. They are accused only of observing thy Torah. Yahuwah pacified him. As thou livest, I have not abandoned them. I will not abandon them. Haman's denunciation of the Hebrew people found a ready echo in the heart of the king. He replied, I too desire to annihilate the Hebrews, but I fear their God, for he is mighty beyond compare, and he loves his people with a great love. Whoever rises up against them, he crushes under their feet. Just think of Pharaoh. Should his example not be a warning to us? He ruled the whole world, yet because he oppressed the Hebrews, he was visited with frightful plagues. Yahuwah delivered them from the Egyptians and cleft the sea for them, a miracle never done for any other nation. And when Pharaoh pursued them with an army of 600,000 warriors, he and his host together were drowned in the sea. Thy ancestor Amalek, O Haman, attacked them with 400,000 heroes, and all of them Yahuwah delivered into the hands of Joshua, who slew them. Sisera had 40,000 generals under him, each one commander of 100,000 men, yet they were all annihilated. The God of the Hebrews ordered the stars to consume the warriors of Sisera, and when he caused the great general to fall into the power of a woman, to become a byword and a reproach forever, many and valorous, I think that's how you say that, valorous, like things of valor, valorous. Don't kill me because I mispronounced the word, y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Many and valorous rulers have risen up against them. They were all cast down by their God and crushed unto their everlasting disgrace. Now, then, can we venture aught against them? Haman, however, persisted. Day after day he urged the king to consent to his plan. Ahasuerus thereupon called together a council of the wise men of all the nations and tongues. To them he submitted the question whether the Hebrews ought not to be destroyed, seeing they differed from all the other people. The sage counselors inquired, who is it that desires to induce thee to take such a fatal step? Like, who is telling you need to do this? Like, do we need to recite all the stories that happened to everybody that tried to do this to this people? Like, who has even had the gumption to come to you with this request, King? Look. The sage counselors inquired, who is it that desires to induce thee to take so fatal a step? If the Hebrew nation is destroyed, the world itself will cease to be. For the world exists only for the sake of the Torah studied by Israel. Yea, the very sun and moon shared their light only for the sake of Israel. And were it not for him, there were neither day nor night, and neither dew nor rain would moisten the earth. More than this, all other nations beside Israel are designated as strangers by Yah. But Israel he called his love, a people near to him, and his children. If men do not suffer their children and kinsmen to be attacked with impunity, how much less will Yahuwah sit by quiet when Israel is assailed? God, the ruler over all things, over the power in heaven above and on earth beneath, over spirits and the souls, Yahuwah with whom it lies to exalt and to degrade, to slay and to revive. Haman was ready to reply to these words of the wise. Boy, I tell you, you always got somebody smart waiting. Like, there is no reason that will appeal to somebody who is lost and just doesn't understand anything. Like, yeah, I heard all that, but look. They waiting for you to finish what you're saying so they can come back with their rebuttal, right? And it's like, let's just take King Hezekiah's advice. Shh, be quiet. Don't talk to them. Because it's like you can't win for losing with them, right? Look, this is Haman. Look. Haman was ready to reply. Haman was ready with the reply to these words of the wise. The God who drowned Pharaoh in the sea and who did all the wonders and signs ye have recounted, that God is now his dotage. He can neither see nor protect, for did not Nebuchadnezzar destroy his house and burn his palace and scatter his people to all the corners of the earth? And he was not able to do one thing against it. If he had power and strength, would he have not displayed them? This is the best proof that he was waxed old and feeble. Like, first of all, you only got a portion of the information. Yahuwah himself, remember, he had to force Nebuchadnezzar to go take his people. Remember Nebuchadnezzar, when he heard y'all tell him to go get his people, because his people doing all kind of shenanigans, he said, go up against my people. He said, yeah, I'm going to go get Rome or Assyria. I ain't playing with Jerusalem. You won't hem me up, the creator of heaven and earth, So he said, no, it's me talking to you. I want you to go take Jerusalem, my people. They being hard-headed, and I want you to do this. Yep, nope, I'm going to cast lots. Where them dice at? Give me them dice. Okay. Jerusalem, listen, no, he said, should I take Assyria, Rome, or Jerusalem? Jerusalem. Bring me that 8-ball, please. Should I take Rome, Assyria, or Jerusalem? Go take Jerusalem, my G. Nope, that is defective. Bring me some sages. Listen. Now, let me tell you about this God who rules over Jerusalem. The people who, from there, his people. Nobody ever wins against him, right? I want to go take Rome or Assyria. But I keep hearing, I ain't even going to say it's him talking to me because I don't really know his voice. I don't do nothing he say. But I think, from what I understand, this seems like they're God's voice. He's telling me to go get his people. I don't want to do that. I want to take Rome or Assyria. Oh. King Nebuchadnezzar. All our stuff, look, we done ran tests. All this, the balancing scales, all this, everything is pointing to Jerusalem. I don't want to hear that. We're not messing with Jerusalem. Like, Yahuwah had to literally force Nebuchadnezzar to go take Jerusalem, right? And so this is the information that Haman was missing. He didn't realize what Nebuchadnezzar had to go through to be forced to go take Jerusalem, right? Because Yahuwah had ordained it. That's why Yahuwah didn't come back and get Nebuchadnezzar. He said, well, Nebuchadnezzar did all this. He wanted to destroy his house. He said he destroyed his house, burned his palace, and scattered his people to all corners of the earth. And he was not able to do one thing against it, right? See, he had half the story. Talking all big and bad when he was about to get his tail completely tore off, right? And we got 2 holidays that we're going to celebrate and commemorate this day for you, Haman, right? Look, hold on. Boy, I tell you, sometimes you'll what you know can get you in trouble because you know just enough to get you in trouble, right? Let's read it again. Haman was ready with the reply to these words of the wise. Then Yahuwah, who drowned Pharaoh in the sea, The God who drowned Pharaoh in the sea, and who did all the wonders and signs ye have recounted, that Yahuah is now in his dotage. He can neither see nor protect. For did not Nebuchadnezzar destroy his house, burn his palace, and scatter his people to all corners of the earth? And he was not able to do one thing against it. If he had power and strength, would he not have displayed them? This is the best proof that he was waxed old and feeble. When the heathen sages heard these arguments advanced by Haman, they agreed to his plan and put their signature to an edict decreeing the persecution of the Hebrews. Yeah, like if y'all got any kind of good common sense, you know sometimes you just got to know what advice to let slide. Just going one end out the other. And some you really should take to heart, right? But he was bereft of all his good common sense, right? Okay. We'll read this last section, then we'll pause. The decree of annihilation. This is the text of the decree. Which Haman issued to the heads of all the nations regarding the annihilation of the Hebrews. This herein is written by me, the great officer of the king, his second in rank, the first among the grandees, and one of the 7 princes, and the most distinguished among the nobles of the realm. I, in agreement with the rulers of the provinces, the princes of the king, the chiefs and the lords, the eastern kings and the satraps, all being of same language, write you, at the order of King Ahasuerus, this writing sealed with his signet, so that it may not be sent back, concerning the great eagle Israel. The great eagle has stretched out his pinions over the whole world. Neither bird nor beast could withstand him. But there came a great lion, Nebuchadnezzar, and dealt with the great eagle a stinging blow. His pinions snapped, his feathers were plucked out, and his feet were hacked off. The whole world has enjoyed rest, cheer, and tranquility since the moment the eagle was chased from his eyrie until this day. Now we notice that he is using all efforts to secure his wings. Yes, we are. We're pulling all our body parts back together, even as Ezekiel saw in the valley of dry bones. What do you see, son of man? He said, I see the bones coming together. Flesh and sinews are coming on these dry bones. They are wet now. The skin has overlaid the sinews and the bones and the blood. Wait a minute. These people live again. The whole world has enjoyed rest, cheer, and tranquility since the moment the eagle was chased from his eyrie until this day. Now we notice that he is using all efforts to secure his wings. He is permitting his feathers to grow with the intention of covering us and the whole world as he did unto our forefathers. At the instance of King Ahasuerus, all the magnates of the kings of Media and Persia are assembled, and we are writing you our joint advice as follows. Set snares for the eagle, and capture him before he renews his strength and soars back to his eyrie. We advise you to tear out his plumage, break his wings, give his flesh to the fowl of heaven, split the eggs lying in his nest, and crush his young, so that his memorial may vanish from the world. Our counsel is not like unto Pharaoh's. He sought to destroy only the men of Israel. To the women he did no harm. It is not like unto us the plan of Esau, who wanted to slay his brother Jacob and keep his children as slaves. It is not like unto the tactics of Amalek, who pursued Israel and smote the hindmost and feeble, but left the strong unscathed. It is not like unto the policy of Nebuchadnezzar, who carried away them into exile and settled them near his own throne. And it is not like unto the way of Sennacherib, who assigned a land unto the Hebrews as fair as their own had been. We recognize clearly what the situation is and have resolved to slay the Hebrews, annihilate them, young and old, so that their name and their memorial may be no more, and their posterity may be cut off forever. The edict issued by Ahasuerus against the Jews, the Hebrews, ran thus: to all the peoples, nations, and races, peace be with you. This is to acquaint you with the one who came to us, who is not of our nation and of our land, an Amalekite, the son of great ancestors, and his name is Haman. He made a trifling request of me, saying, among us there dwells a people, the most despicable of all, who are a stumbling block in every time. They are exceeding presumptuous, and they know our weaknesses and our shortcomings. They curse the king in these words, which are constantly in their mouths. Yahuah is the king of the world forever and ever. He will make the heathen perish out of his land. He will execute vengeance and punishments upon the people. From the beginning of all time they have been ungrateful, as witness their behavior toward Pharaoh. With kindness he received them, their wives and their children, at the time of a famine. He gave them up the best of his land. He provided them with food and all they needed. Then Pharaoh desired to build a palace, and he requested the Hebrews to do it for him. They began the work grudgingly, amid murmurings, and it is not completed until this day. In the midst of it, they approached Pharaoh with these words: we wish to offer sacrifices to our God in a place that is a 3 days' journey from here. And we petition thee to lend us silver and gold vessels and clothes and apparel. So much did they borrow that each one bore 90 ass loads off with him, and Egypt was emptied out. When the 3 days have elapsed, they did not return. Pharaoh pursued them in order to recover the stolen treasures. What did the Hebrews? They had among them a man by the name of Moses, the son of Amram, an arch wizard. You see how this sounds when somebody else tells our story? You see how it looks absolutely crazy, like we are the ones that should be completely annihilated, but they leave out what they do, right? Granted, we got some among us that need to be dealt with. There are rebels among us. There truly are. There truly are. Just as it is in other nations. That's not an excuse for us, but Yahuah said there shouldn't be any rebels among us, and he's going to deal with them face to face himself, right? Look. Hold on. And what did the Hebrews? They had among them a man by the name of Moses, the son of Amram, an arch wizard. Remember how I told you there are some books? Hey, boy, stop it. You're just rattling it. Stop. Some of the other nations' manuscripts, they refer to Moses as a great magician, right? Even have paintings and stuff of him. And mind you, he black in some of this stuff. You let some people get their hands on some of this where they come and color over the real color of the people and turn them light, bright white, right? But if you get some other very, very old historical manuals, you will see that all these people were black. They were darker than me. I'm probably some of the lightest color of the black and brown peoples, right? But we were dark colored people, all shades. Matter of fact, they showed different shades of the black and brown people, right? Look, what did the Hebrews? They had among them a man by the name of Moses, the son of Amram, an arch wizard who had been bred in the house of Pharaoh. When they reached the sea, this man raised his staff and cleft the waters and led the Hebrews through them dry shod, while Pharaoh and his hosts were drowned. Their God helps them. Look, so they know this, right? Listen what they say. Their God helps them as long as they observe his law, so that none can prevail against them. And that is my whole point of everything. Return to Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands. We want to stop some of this craziness happening to our people. Return to the law, statutes, and commands, right? That's the only thing that keeps us safe. You keep it, I will keep you. But they have created a whole religion that their base of everything is that the Old Testament, and y'all know I don't like the term Old Testament. It's a misnomer. It should not be named that. That's why we don't call it that. But for the sake of people know, we're talking about the Old Testament, which I call the books of the law and the prophets, right? The books of the law and the prophets. I say it every morning. We're about to read this, and the books of the law and the prophets, right? That's what I say. But the whole Christian church, everything, they do everything to discredit the words of Yah. Because if Yahuah's people, I ain't talking about no other race, nationality of people, you can read it and you can glean good from it. But what happens is when Yahuah's people read his words, no matter how any other nation, any other teacher of any other nation has taught this, when Yahuah's people, those who are called by his name, actually lay their eyes on his words, when they are truly seeking for him, not going to prove somebody else wrong. I'm going to show you, no, because everything we do is now in JC. This is done away with. Everything was fulfilled. No, I was like, I'm not talking to you. I'm following King Hezekiah's advice. Keep quiet. I'm not wasting my breath with you, right? What I'm telling you, what I know. Something, and the only thing I can say is something happens in the unseen realm inside of Yahuah's people when they begin to take in his words. It reactivates something that has been sleeping on the inside of us. That's the best way I can explain that, right? And then we begin to consume it. And it's like we can see what other people can't see. It's like, wait a minute, how did you not get that? And then the lies begin to become clear as day to you. Like, wait, what? This is why? Because they got to start doing this and they pushing us as big herd cattle. Everybody go this way. Don't know. That's done away with. We done summed it up over here for you. This is all you need. Take this. Go. Don't worry about that ad. And they got guards standing up. You don't need to do that. That's cut off. We don't need to be doing that no more. What you going to do? And they pull out the things that don't matter. You going to be sacrificing. You ain't got cattle. You supposed, how you going to keep that? You ain't got animals to sacrifice. Where's your priest? You ain't got no temple. All this stuff that don't matter. They put it there to keep you from going back there to see what is there. There is life. If there ain't life for anybody else on this earth, there is life for Yahuah's people when they go and lay eyes on this and begin to read it without the teaching, the overlaying, the masking of what everybody else has taught them. That's why I said when you go, take everything that you've learned up until this point, right? Just take it and sit it on the shelf. You ain't got to completely get rid of it at this point, but when you realize what the real deal is, you're going to freely take it and set fire to it yourself. But just sit it there. But go back and start over, right? And I tell you, I said, go back. Don't even try to be super spiritual about it. Read it like it's a book. Like you will go get any other book, a good novel, read it for the basis and the premise of the story. What is this about? Who are the characters, right? Who is this God they serve? What happened in the family? This family split, the fights, all of this. Learn about it on that level first. Just a basic level without any kind of spirituality. Don't even call it a Bible. Just, okay, let's go read about this story, And as you begin to understand that, and then you begin to realize about this people, the different things, and then you're going to start thinking about your own family and things you've experienced in your own life. Wait a minute. Hold on. My family be doing that. Hold on. Wait a minute. That sound like Ginzberg and them down the street. Wait a minute. What? Wait. These people was black? Oh, snap. And then when you find out they black, it just pulls you in a little bit more and more. And Yahuah begins to open your eyes more and more until you realize, oh snap, this is my family, right? They don't talk about they barely give you bits and pieces over in the New Testament about this. I'm telling you, Yahuah's people, nothing will activate you like the Old Testament, like the books of the law and the prophets will, because it will go down and reach into generations past that have been passed down to you, and it will activate previous generations, and you are truly going to know that there truly is a God, and you're his people, and you will realize, he said, if my people, here's the key, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sins, and I will heal their land, right? And that's wherever we are scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? But a lot of our people don't even know who they belong to, right? And they're crying out to the wrong gods, which is why we still have the same garbage happening over and over again, right? But what we see happening, the 400 years, we pinpointed right at the end of the 400 years, right? It's people that's going to argue it both ways, or this wasn't that, or it's been more than this, and what about this? Follow the advice of King Hezekiah. Shut them off. Don't even listen to them. You have to go look at it for yourself. Look at what's happening all around you, right? Put everything together. past time, current time, your personal experience. How does this line up? And you're going to begin to see the pieces that join together. And you're going to be like, oh, snap. Yahuah has been faithful to us, more faithful to us than we have ever been to him. He told us that this would be happening, and it's still happening. But once you line yourself up, you begin to see the change just in your personal life on a lower level, and you begin to experience these blessings that Yahuah said will come upon you if you kept his commands. So now you begin to experience in your own personal life, like, wait a minute, this is really true. And now you got experience, personal experience, where you can begin sharing with your other brothers and sisters. Wait a minute, first of all, did you know that we the people of the book, right? And it's like little by little you try to get people's attention. Some people, they so steeped on whatever, or from previous generations, they just don't get it, whatever. I don't know, but Yahuah decided that it would be this generation, my generation, that will start waking up. And we're waking up some of the older generations that are still here, but definitely the generation that we gave birth to, they are running with fire, right? Because as this generation, our us being the parents of those children, as we return to Yahuah's law, statutes, and commands, and as we teach our children when they rise up and when they lie down and when they walk by the way, when they come in and when they go out, all they're going to know is Yah, right? So every generation will get stronger and stronger, and you will see the power increase and increase. And I'm so thankful he decided to wake me up in my generation to open my eyes, right? Because we're starting to see glimpses of it. It's so exciting. I could talk about this all day, but let me finish this little section, y'all, because I still got a little bit more to read. But I just had to say that. Look, don't let nobody else tell our story, right? We can tell our story with examples and proof, right? And then what it said, and that day, it was like, what it's like, people gonna be, I'm about to screw this scripture up. But anyway, they're going to be looking for us. I heard Yah was with you. They're going to be grabbing our coattails and the hems of our garments. He with you. We coming with you. They're going to be searching where they first of all, they just going to be looking at black people here. Okay, he with you. Is you a Hebrew? Is you part of this family? Because all black people are not, but the Hebrews are black, but all black people are not Hebrews. Right, they're just going to get their eyes on black people first. So, okay, boom, boom, boom. Then they're going to find out, wait a minute, nope, you is not one. Although you black, you not a Hebrew, you might be somebody else, but you ain't having this stuff follow you. Like, there is one right there. I see the light shining off of him. Fire follows up. That's the one. Go after him. Go grab him. We're going after them. We're going after her. Them children, them Hebrew kids, them, follow them. Whatever you're going to be kept safe. Follow, do what they do, right? That's what it's talking about, y'all. We waking up. Look. Hold on. When the 3 days having elapsed, they did not return. Pharaoh pursued them in order to recover the stolen treasures. What did the Hebrews? They had among them a man by the name of Moses, the son of Amram, an arch wizard who had been bred in the house of Pharaoh. When they reached the sea, this man raised his staff and cleft the waters and led the Hebrews through them dry-shod, while Pharaoh and his hosts were drowned. Their God helps them as long as they observe his law, so that none can prevail against them. Josh, go turn it down, please. Balaam, the only prophet we heathens ever had, they slew with the sword, and they did unto Sihon and Og, the powerful kings of Canaan, whose land they took after killing them. Likewise, they brought ruin upon Amalek, the great and glorious ruler. They and Saul their king, and Samuel their prophet. Later they had an unmerciful king, David by the name. Who would ever think that our King David was unmerciful, right? Look, but when you let them tell the story, this is the output and the understanding you get, right? Later they had an unmerciful king, David by the name, who smote the Philistines, the Ammonites, and the Moabites, and not one of them could discomfit him. Solomon, the son of this king, being wise and sagacious, built them a house of worship in Jerusalem, that they might not scatter to all parts of the world. But after they had been guilty of many crimes against their God, he delivered them into the hand of King Nebuchadnezzar, who deported them to Babylon. To this day, They are among us, and though they are under our hand, we are of none account in their eyes. Their religion and their laws are different from the religion and the laws of the other nations. Their sons do not marry with our daughters. Our gods they do not worship. They have no regard for our honor, and they refuse to bend the knee before us, calling themselves free men. They would not do our service, and our commands they heed not. Therefore the grandees, the princes, and the satraps have been assembled before us. We have taken counsel together, and we have resolved an irrevocable resolution according to the laws of the Medes and Persians to extirpate the Hebrews from among the inhabitants of the earth. We have sent the edict to the 127 provinces of my empire to slay them, their sons, their wives, and their little children. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, none is to escape. As they did to our forefathers and desired to do unto us, so shall be done unto them, and their possessions are to be given over to the spoilers. Thus ye shall do, that ye may find grace before me. This is the writing of the letter which I send to you, Ahasuerus, king of Media and Persia. The price Haman offered the king for the Hebrews was 10,000 hundredweights of silver. He took the number of Hebrews at their exodus from Egypt, 600,000, as the basis of his calculation, and he offered a half shekel for every soul of them, the sum of each Israelite had to pay yearly for the maintenance of the sanctuary. The sum was so vast that Haman could not find coin enough to pay it, but promised to deliver it in the form of silver bars. Ahasuerus refused the ransom. When Haman made the offer, he said, "Let us cast lots. If thou drawest Israel and I draw money, then the sale stands as a valid transaction. If the reverse, it is not valid." Because the sins of the Hebrews, the sale was confirmed by the lots. But Haman was not too greatly pleased with his own success. He disliked to give up so large sum of money. Observing his ill humor, Ahasuerus said, "Keep the money. I do not care either to make or lose money on the account of the Hebrews." For the Hebrews, it was fortunate that the king did not accept money for them, else his subjects would have not obeyed his second edict, the one favorable to the Hebrews. They would have been able to advance the argument that the king, by accepting a sum of money for them, had resigned his rights over the Hebrews instead of Haman, who therefore could deal with them as he pleased. The agreement between Ahasuerus and Haman was concluded at a carouse. Carouse? Carouse. 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 We'll learn how to pronounce that later. The agreement between Ahasuerus and Haman was concluded at a carouse by way of punishment for the crime of the sons of Jacob, who had unmercifully sold their brother Joseph into slavery to the Ishmaelites while eating and drinking. The joy of this Hebrew-hating couple, for Ahasuerus hated the Hebrews with no less fierce hatred than Haman did, was shared by none. The capital of Shushan was in mourning and sorely perplexed. Scarcely had the edict of annihilation been promulgated. Scarcely, sorry y'all, I know I'm spelling some of these words. Scarcely had the edict of annihilation been promulgated against the Hebrews when all sorts of misfortunes began to happen in the city. Women who were hanging up their wash to dry on the roofs of the houses dropped dead. Men who went to draw water fell into wells and lost their lives. While Ahasuerus and Haman were making merry in the palace, the city was thrown into consternation and mourning. And that, my beautiful people, is where we will pause for today. Tomorrow it's getting a little bit better because Satan enters the scene and begins to talk to Haman. Hold on. Not necessarily talk to Haman, but he gonna be kind of trying to push what Haman is doing behind the scenes. So we get a little bit of that story tomorrow. So, but if you got the book, go ahead and read ahead if you want to. But we'll pick this up tomorrow. But it's leading up to the main event, y'all. Well, we fight back. All right, y'all. So that was Legends of the Jews. We stopped on page 503. We began on 500 and we paused on page 503. And that, believe it or not, all of that was that just one section? No, I'm sorry, that was two. The denunciation of the Hebrews and a decree of annihilation. Okay, so we read two little sections. They were pretty long. Okay, y'all, so we read today 2 Kings 18, 19, and 20, and Legends of the Jews, page 500 to page 503. Today it is Sunday. Happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is day 137 of year 3. We're reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 806, and that is without the Sabbath days and the feast day Sabbath days added into the count, right? Why? Because we rest. And tomorrow, Sabbath day, moon cycle, falls on Monday for this moon cycle. So tomorrow we will not be here. So we will be back here Tuesday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, beautiful people. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the blessing, which is found in Numbers. Y'all know it. Chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. And Yahuah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuah bless us and keep us. May Yahuah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuah lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Whose name? Yahuah's name. Yahuah said, Put my name upon my people, and I will bless them. Right? All right, y'all. So let's make sure we're keeping to Yahuah's law, statutes, and commands in all that we do, right? Don't get sidetracked with sacrifices and stuff like that. Yahuah said, if you're just obedient, there's no need for sacrifice, right? Sacrifice has never been needed. But that's pushed like it's the main thing. Yahuah said, I desire obedience, not sacrifice. Stop killing up all my animals, right? Look, you can use them for transportation. You can use them if you want to drink the milk or the egg, all this stuff. You can use it for that, but don't kill them to atone for your sins, right? That's why he made it. He set it out like that. Like, we want to do what the other nations do. If you're going to offer sacrifices, then this is what you need to do. He made it so hard and gave so many details. I'm like, look, this is too much. It's better that we just obey. Look, Sean and them, they losing all their cattle. They don't look. Y'all better go talk to y'all kids. They out here acting a fool. Your mom and dad acting bad. Where is their parent? Where is grandma and granddad? Do you not teach them anything? Look, killing up all the best of the animals, because Yahuah said the best ones had to go first. Like, you can't go out here and do something and think you're going to take this chicken with one leg. No, he said, give me the best. I want the cow, the fattest of the flock, the money maker. That's what I want, right? He wanted to hurt your pockets, right? He wanted you to think about this before you did it. And that's what we're not getting. They pulled the Jedi mind tricks on everybody. You looking at the wrong thing. Like, we got to do sacrifice. No. Pay attention, y'all. Like, Yahuah made it that hard. He wanted to break your state from what you was about to do, right? He would hope that you would have the good common sense that he's blessed you with. Most of you got it, but you decide not to use it, right? Okay, should I really go commit this sin? What is this going to cost me? But nobody, you get into the heat, the throes of passion, and you don't think, right? And next thing you know, you got to give up the best of your flock, right? Now, everybody know, come on, we need to talk, son. Yeah, you bringing dinner tonight. You providing for everybody. Get the fattest from your flock. Bring it on. Come on here. We'll say we're going to have this. We need to talk about this, right? The priest going to go ahead and cut it up. Now, tell us what you did, right? You confessing your sins, repenting for what you did. While the priest did the butcher, the cook, go ahead and cook it up just like this, right? Tell us what you done did. When your wife back there like, yes, tell us what you done did. Why is our moneymaker being taken to the slaughter right now, right? People teach this the wrong way. If they taught this the right way, people would think about some of the stuff that they would do. Look, yeah, it's better that we obey. Because we like our moneymaker. Yahuah has blessed us. He blessed. Well, no, we shouldn't have to give that up. Nope. That's not going to profit us anything except for loss to our household. That's going to endanger not just me, but our entire household. The children, everybody. Yes, baby.
I try and get some.
She up. Uh-oh. She's up again. It's time to go, y'all. I ain't got nothing else. I ain't seeing no questions here for today. I was just chatting, talking about some of this stuff. We about to get out of here because she about to start getting out. She mad that the boys ate up the rest of the cereal, right? Okay. Love y'all. I will see y'all Tuesday morning, 7:15. Oh, shoot. It went out. Hold on, y'all. I've been talking too much today. Hold up. It just died. Oh, shoot. Maybe it paused. My whole laptop just cut off. Yikes. Hold on. I think it's done. Hold on. I think it's done. They might not still be there. It's gone. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to leave it up here for a second. Let me see if I can bring it back. It's done. All right, y'all. Tuesday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got to remember to plug my laptop in because it's dying too fast. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Peace.